So we call today how PreciseFP can be the data launchpad to practice growth. And I am joined by Eric. He is the CEO, exit planner, wealth advisor for Forefront. And I'm Nora Gallegos. I am the financial planning thought leader with PreciseFP. I have been working with financial advisors on practice management, best practices when it comes to technology for about 10 years now, and definitely love kind of just getting underneath everything that's going on and adding order to the chaos. And I'll give Eric a second here to go ahead and introduce himself as well so you can get to know him.
Well, thank you, everybody that is listening to this and taking some time to invest in how you can become a better advisor and improve your practice and your client experience. I'm Eric Negron. I've been in the financial services space for close to 20 years now. I run an RIA and advisor network out of Austin, Texas, and I have been I'm trying to think in my head, a 5+ year user of PreciseFP, and it is the most instrumental tech that kicks off our entire process for operations and data within our network and our firm.
Yes, thank you so much for introducing yourself. In 5 years, congrats. We love that client loyalty, so we thank you for that. And so tell me about your firm. How is your office set up?
Okay, so there's we are a multifaceted firm. So we actually are an RIA with, we got to do the math in my head because we just made a few hires, 16 plus people within our firm, and then we have a advisor network where other advisors are part of our Forefront advisor network. We've got about 10 partner firms there that also use PreciseFP, and then we own a national insurance agency and a tax consulting and tax preparation company. So it's multifaceted, and majority of our folks are spread out all around the country. We've been building a virtual firm, although a lot of our key members live in the Austin, Texas area. We've got people all around the country.
Oh,
I
nice.
don't know if that answered your question about like the structure.
Yes, and your advisor network, that's kind of setting up people with that tech stack and those best practices.
Yeah, so our advisor network are for folks that basically they want to be in business for themselves, but not by themselves, and they want to have independence and partnership and access to technology and systems and tool. They don't necessarily want to invent the wheel. They just want to run on it better. And they want to
Yeah.
have access to people who, have actually done things or implemented processes to bounce ideas off of, or like use somebody else's framework that works. And so that's how it's structured.
I love that too. And I know I've seen kind of you've created a community where people are able to jump in and ask questions or just talk about the week. So I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, I think a lot of times if you're out there listening to this and you're solo advisor, or maybe you're an RIA and use PreciseFP, um, or you're running a solo practice within a larger construct. Being an advisor can be very isolating, and sometimes it can be echo chamber. So it's important that you get out and you talk to your peers and you stay curious and you stay open to new and interesting ways of doing things, because however you're doing it now, it's not the only way to do it. And there could be better ways. There could be ways that save you time. There could be ways that save you staff costs or create efficiencies. And we're going to talk about a lot of that today. And I think PreciseFP as a tool, to me, is the Swiss Army knife of all of my technology. It's so versatile of what it can do and how powerful it is. And I mean, I wish this thing was around, you know, 15 years ago when I started in the industry, because it would have been a game changer for me having to manually fill out paperwork.
Yeah, it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know. And then when you introduce it into the process, it's like, wow, that really added value. So I know before when we talked a while ago, you mentioned someone on your staff is like a ninja where they like set up everything.
Yeah, so it was I think it was Albert Einstein who said the eighth wonder of the world was compound interest. Well, I'm here today to tell you all that the ninth wonder of the world is automations and integrations. And
Yup.
I have a guy on my team that I refer to as Rain Man, who basically, and also the ninth wonder of the world. He has a lot of acronyms, but basically that 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 person, what you can do with precise fp, for those of you that are listening to this, one of the things that we're all trying to do, our inflation has went up, right? Anybody who's sitting here who goes grocery shopping every single week can attest to the incredible shrinking shopping cart. You go to the grocery store and you get to the register, and $100 used to get you a full cart of stuff, and maybe it's 60 now. And as practice owners, right, we have to be mindful about the costs that are associated with doing business, whether that's new technologies or whether that's increases in our technology spend or team members. And so we got to try to figure out how to squeeze out every dollar and maximize the value of the technology investments that we've made. And when I think about process and I think about a tool like PreciseFP, I can directly link it to saving us somewhere in the neighborhood of about 250,000 to $350,000 a year in staff costs because of efficiencies that have been driven from it. Which is, I'm going to tell you what, if all of you are sitting here thinking that, I guarantee we can find another 50 to $100,000 easily in efficiencies, and I'm sure that your family, your bank account, your vacation account, your kids' college fund could really benefit from that additional profit coming into your bottom line.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much research showing just how much time advisors are spending on administrative tasks. And if you want to talk about that too, just, you as an advisor, what you want to focus on versus, the other stuff that's trying to take your attention, you have to be protective of your time.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that becomes in the world that we live in today is that we all live in multiple different systems, right? We live in a time where we are all armed with weapons of mass distraction, aka a cell phone with a million apps on it, and we're all connected to this thing called the internet. And the reality of it is that the things that we need to do from a process standpoint is make it as simple as possible for our clients, our team, our business to integrate stuff with one another. And I think that's one thing that PreciseFP has done really well. They've integrated into the major CRMs, they've integrated into the major tools, they've integrated in creating processes to help advisors kind of execute their business better.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I agree. And tell me about your tech stack. What are you using? What have you tried, loved, hated?
I've tried it all, right? So
Yeah.
some of you may suffer from this affliction as well as shiny object syndrome, which is every time somebody rolls out some new tech, I'm like, oh, I got to go check that out and I got to go look at it, and I end up solving problems in my practice that don't exist when I probably either probably already have the tech and I'm probably not using it to its highest potential, or two, I'm thinking that technology is going to solve a disorganization or a lack of clarity process. So today, the tech stack that we use is Precise FP, Wealthbox as our CRM. We use Google for our email and for our document management with Google Drive. For those of you wondering, the SEC doesn't really care about Google Drive, and then it is compliant, has all the security. I know a lot of people ask that. We use my rep chat for compliant text messaging with clients. We use Asset Map for financial planning. Uh, Holistic Plan is something that we're just getting ready to add to our tech stack, and Black Diamond for performance reporting. I mean, there's a smorgasbord of technology when I think about it.
I know, yeah, you're listing out a whole menu. And you also use, right, Firefly for
Yeah, I
meetings or
love so the everybody's AI note recorders are all the rage for everybody right now. There's so many out there. We've been using Firefly's AI for 4+ years.
oh
Uh,
wow.
I love it. We were way ahead of that AI note recorder game. There's a lot of amazing companies that are out there right now that are doing stuff specifically for financial advisors, like Zox or FinMate or the folks at Jump. So if you have not jumped on the AI note recording bandwagon, it's definitely something that you should leverage for note taking and integration with your CRMs.
Nice. And then Zapier, right?
Oh yeah, so for those of you that don't know what Zapier is a I'm going to say the technical term, and then I'm going to explain what the heck it does in English.
Yeah.
Zapier is an API integration tool. So for those of you that didn't go to school for computers, or you're not a CTO or tech person, all it means in English is that Zapier is a tool that can make two pieces of software connect to one another and to send information from one piece of software to another. And so the way that we're able to drive so much efficiency with Zapier is by leveraging it to push information from PreciseFP to Wealthbox and things like Calendly and emails, etc. There are probably a lot of mindless tasks that you guys have going on right now in your workflow that could easily be built into a process whereby Zapier, this tool that you buy, which is pretty inexpensive, can automate tasks for you and make sure that everything happens seamlessly. So uh, it's kind of your built-in 24/7 employee that works for 50 to $150 a month, depending on how much you use it.
Yeah, that assistant you don't have to make small talk with or anything. And
They
I
don't
bet
take time off. They don't have benefits. You don't got to pay any FICA taxes for them, and there's none of that.
yeah, I bet if we look at it, you probably have like 50 zaps going on right now.
That thing is probably sizzling. I don't know what it does, but sometimes it smokes by how busy it is.
That's fantastic. And was there Flow Desk too, or am I remembering that right?
Yeah, so for those of you that are interested in like email platforms, we did use Flowdesk for a while. We've actually pivoted back to Constant Contact because there's just more stuff that we can do with Zapier, this API connection, to make it do things in our marketing process. So think about things like um, somebody signs up for a resource or your newsletter on your website, it will grab that person's information and automatically send them into Wealthbox as a prospect, and then tag what they downloaded and where it came from. And then it'll run a sequence of a nurturing email, so a series of emails to that person over a period of time based on whatever it is that they downloaded. So this is all stuff that somebody in the past would have to execute manually that you can now do in a systematic way at scale.
Yep, exactly. You don't want to, slip through the cracks. And I feel like people would be surprised at how people actually want to be contacted through those emails when they do grab something from you. So setting up that campaign where, right away you're nurturing them and continuing to work with them. Do you have like an average of how long it takes usually before someone wants to kind of inquire for services? Is it like 6 months, six emails?
It's random.
Yeah.
The thing about people who find you different places, it really all depends on the person's level of urgency, right? Think about it much like if you get injured, right? If you get injured, you may say to yourself, "Oh, it's not that bad. I can just stay home. I don't need to necessarily go to the doctor." But if you encountered a situation, and I'm going to give you guys a real life example that happened in my household about 3 weeks ago, whereby my kids go fishing and my wife got a fishing hook stuck in her finger and we couldn't get it out.
No.
The level of pain and urgency was like immediate. So we have to go to the urgent care immediately. When it comes to financial planning, that level of urgency for people really depends on how much pain there is. So typically, it's going to be driven. I think it's event driven. So or something that's triggering. So I have this massive tax bill. Somebody passed away. Somebody's dying. I just got an increase in my pay. I'm changing jobs. So triggering events and the level of urgency are where I kind of see drive whether somebody is ready to do something or if people have the mental space to do it. I don't know about everybody else on this call, but I'm sure there's things that you have that you've been meaning to get around to that you have not, right? And because you're like, I don't have the time to think about that right now, but you know you should doing it. And so I think that's what kind of drives how quickly or slowly. So I've had people that come in and they instantly reach out, and I have people that I've been dripping on for 4 or 5 years and they're finally ready to do something. So I think
Yeah.
the benefit is that you should never stop engaging with folks and practice the until strategy, which is I'm going to keep communicating until you tell me to stop, until something happens or you do something or we meet and you tell me you don't want to work with us.
That's great advice. All right. Do you want to kind of share your screen and kind of show us
Behind the
visually?
curtain.
Yep.
I,
Yep. We're
I'm going to give everybody a behind the curtain tool. So one of the things that we did in our practice, the issue that we were trying to solve for is, in the past before we had PreciseFP, when we would be sitting down with let's call it a new prospective client, they say, "Okay, great, we want to hire you now." Well, great. We all know that there's a set of data that you have to get from folks, right? And the thing about data is it's so important that you get as much as and clean data to start a relationship so that it makes it very easy to work with the client in the future, to have them fill out paperwork, beneficiary designation. So this is the most important part of how you start a relationship once somebody tells you that they want to hire you. You need to get data. Okay. So we would sit down with, at the time, a piece of paper that we called a contact information sheet. And on this contact information sheet, and it was all built, would be like name, date of birth, social security number, mother's maiden name, where were you born, your spouse's name, children's names, professionals that you work with, who's your CPA, who's your lawyer, who's your XYZ. And then we would have additional information looking to like surprise and delight people. So like, when is your wedding anniversary? What is your favorite drink to have, right? So we can know what we could. So we would go through this form with people, and then we would take that information and use it to send client agreements, to open up accounts. And then what would happen is somebody would manually have to get carpal tunnel typing all this stuff into the CRM. So really, if you guys want to know what PreciseFP is, it's a carpal tunnel prevention tool. It takes the carpal tunnel from your practice, and it transfers it to your prospective client's household so they can type this into, into the platform. So, so
Or
we'd have to,
hopefully their Google browser has autofill, right?
yeah, hopefully autofill, but I don't know. So, long story short, that was our process. It was highly manual. Somebody would have to do it. The first thing that we built with PreciseFP was we took that whole contact information sheet and we digitized it so that when somebody was ready to work with us, we could send them this form that they could fill out. And that form would have everything that we need that we could then click a button and take all the information from that form and pre-fill. We could map all of that data right into our PDF. So one of the things that PreciseFP has, for those of you that have not leveraged this, is PDF mapping. So you can take a form, gather information, and then push the information automatically onto a form at scale. So it's massively, massively powerful. There are other technologies out there that cost a fortune to do the same thing that PreciseFP is delivering for their amazing, valuable subscription price that you guys are paying. So we started with the contact information sheet. The contact information sheet then can feed in directly into our paperwork, then can feed into Wealthbox. So let me share my screen to show what this looks like. Give me 1 second. I just need you to turn on sharing, Nora.
Oh, all right. And we have Chuck asking, what is the PDF you're referring to? Client info for file?
So it's called the PDF that we created. So if anybody wants to see a copy of this PDF, you just ping Nora and I'll send you a copy so that you can figure out how to recreate this thing. Let me go.
Yeah, definitely. Because, you have to get all of that good, clean data into that PDF and just taking the front end work to map it out. And then that good, clean data just fills right into that PDF has to be so satisfying.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep, I see
Okay.
a personal note from the client service team.
Okay. So basically, we created a web based form to handle what we refer to as a contact info sheet. So somebody would come in, they would click start, and when they click start, they'll be prompted to enter an email address. Now, if they don't have an account set up with PreciseFP, they'll click sign up here. Okay, they'll enter some information and then they'll be logged into our form. And when they log into our form, they'll be prompted to fill in their personal information. So, name, uh, place of birth, right? Wherever, let's say they're born in Alabama, their social security number.
Yeah, and I
Hold on.
love the branded colors. You got your brown color in there and
Here,
the
we're going to get
forefront
it.
brand.
It's prompting me to, let me get this plugged in here and I'll pull it back up.
Yeah, and right away when you pulled up the screen, I knew it was your office from your
The
logo,
branding.
your
Yeah.
colors. Yep.
So the one of the most important thing is that you can make PreciseFP look and feel like your company. So whatever your colors are, I think that's really, really important because clients want to feel like any tech that you use is yours, right? Not some third party, because it just gets a little weird for them. So that person would fill out their information. They can upload a picture of their driver's license. Um, they'll put in their married status, what's their annual income, their net worth, tax bracket, whether a citizen, who's their employer. If they have, they're going to put their spouse on. They would click add a co-client. They could add children, and then they would hit next. And then you got to ask what I refer to as the affiliation. So, do you own a publicly traded company? Are you a member of FINRA? Does any person have trading authorization? No. Okay, then this is the stuff that's super important for our client agreements. Are we going to be doing financial planning with you? If this person marks yes, now they check off a series of items here. Okay, so they're going to do cash flow, they're going to do estate planning, they're going to do financial goals, and then how do they want to be billed? Do they want to be upfront? Do they want to be quarterly? Do they want to be monthly? Great. Are we going to be managing any investment accounts for you? Yes, you are. Okay, great. What's your level of risk? Okay, and this is the important part to think about here specifically when you're talking about these things. All of these areas down here tie into the areas inside a wealth box under the client's profile that get filled out. So these are the investment risk levels. These are the items that are going to get filled in on the wealth box side. Okay. So what's your comfort level with risk? It's high. And let's just say you put 10 plus years in these categories. Okay. Do you have an employer sponsored plan, 401k? Let's just say no. And then a biggie, who's going to be your trusted contact? So FINRA and the SEC is very big on folks, especially with the large amount of baby boomers that financial planners work with, having somebody that can be contacted if there's cognitive decline for a client, etc. Okay, so they would fill in that information here. I want my daughter to put their name, their phone number, relationship, and then for us, we've got multiple advisors at our firm. Who's going to be my advisor that I'm working with? Okay. Eric, how do I want to be contacted? I want to be emailed. How frequently do you want to hear from us? Quarterly. And then are there any other advisors on your team? Yes, I have an attorney. Okay, let's enter in his information. Yes, I have a CPA. Okay. This right here is massive because you can have an opportunity to build a professional relationship with these folks. Or if your client's not happy with these professional, this is an opportunity for you to introduce them to COIs in your network, all while leveraging your onboarding process to your firm. So then when you hit finish, it'll usually go through, let me fill in the missing pieces of information that it wants.
Yeah, it looks like some of the fields are mandatory, so you're like, listen, you're not skipping these. I need this to
Yeah.
move forward. Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to go through real quickly. It'll ask you about wedding anniversary. Let's say this. And it's really getting me.
Yes, and John's asking, do you take this into account for a client to fill out in person during the meeting using the web supported forms, using a special PreciseFP generated website? So it sounds like, are
So
they filling it out in person or at home?
no, they typically this person is filling it out at home at their own leisure, right?
Yeah.
They're filling out this form like once they say, "Hey, I want to work with you." Usually, what happens is so after they complete their form, they get a thank you. And then what happens after they complete this thank you is that our team gets a notice in an email, and then we have an automation trigger where it sends it to our team a task inside of Wealthbox saying like, "Hey, this person has completed this. Hey, financial advisor, go and complete the additional information that the service team is going to need to fill this out." So I'm going to pause here for a second. So what was the question was how do we use the form and when do we use it? Was that what it was, Nor?
Yep, it says, do you take into account for a client to fill out in person during the meeting?
The answer to the question is all right. I had this exact situation happen. Primarily, we send this to clients. Like let's just say we're having a Zoom meeting with them. We'll say, hey, when you're ready to move forward, let us know. Our team will send you a form so we can start the process. And so that contact information sheet will kickstart it. I happened to be having a meeting with somebody that was introduced to me about 2 weeks ago. We were meeting in person in my office, and she's like, you know what? I'm ready to move forward. I want to do this, yada, yada, yada. So I literally pulled up that link, slid my iPad across the table, and then walked
Nice.
around to the other side and sat next to her and like walked her through how to do this. So you
That
can
is
you
so
can
much more efficient.
you can use that, you can use it that way. I would not recommend doing a paper form because once you do this, this information will link so you can push it right out to your systems.
Hmm. Yep. So you're not using the export button to export this contact into Wealthbox. It sounds like you have a Zap setup instead.
We are no, we are still using the import button to send it out to Wealthbox.
Okay.
So somebody will have to log in. Somebody will log in. They'll get a note from PreciseFP, and our service team will go in and basically generate the step in the process to export this to Wealthbox.
Nice. And Chuck is asking, are all of those fields there from the onset? Do they come pre-built into the template or do they need to be manually entered?
Those fields, you have to create them when you're building out your template. And really what we were looking to do, Chuck, is this. I'll share my screen in a second. Let me get the share button back up. So what we were looking to do with those fields is, if you look at wealth box, let's just say, and I go to additional information, we're trying to solve for this area. I haven't exported that. We're trying to fill out the investment objective, right? When we look at it, right, here's what it is. What's the risk tolerance? Is it high? Is it moderate? Is it low? What's that person's experience, etc. So we basically looked at what are the fields that are currently available to document inside of the CRM, and we used the form to kind of coincide with this. And the reason why we did this, because everybody's concerned about compliance, right? That's the boogeyman in our business. We went through an audit with the SEC, and we had a good audit. There was no issues, but they asked us about specific areas of suitability that, quite frankly, I'm not supposed to say this, but it was a pain in the butt to do it. And so we went back and re-engineered our process to basically say, well, let's look at those things that we have available within the construct of our system, and let's map our forms in order to grab that on the front end so that we never have to do this again. And then we have a clear way to provide information to the regulators.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like why this happened, but then it's like, okay, everything's better now that that happened.
Right. And then some additional things that we've done to kind of execute this at scale would be, I'm just going to pull up example. This is actually real live data. You guys are getting a peek behind the curtain of what's going on inside my CRM. We built we built you can see I don't check my notifications since there's 84 over there. Either that or we just got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, that
Uh,
can drive
we
someone crazy on the call,
we
right? They're like, you don't
we
check them?
we built that process to send out that form into a task template. So somebody would type in welcome, and we click yes, and then who are we going to send the welcome email to? So I pick a person, myself. Great. It automatically assigns it to our operations manager, and it'll say, please use this task to send them the welcome email. It's assigned to Eric, and then I'd click add. Okay. Then inside of Wealthbox, we'll go back to Eric. Then inside of Wealthbox, under Eric, that task would come up. Our client operations manager would come into Eric's profile and say, you know what, I'm going to send Eric an email, right? And we operate off a team-based email, so that person would send it out. All the email signatures are branded. They would come over here and hit use template. They would type in welcome, and they hit OK. And basically, here's the email template that would go out to that person that basically has that PreciseFP form built into it. So we've built a streamlined way of like getting this out quickly. So if I'm sitting down with the client, I can quickly assign a task to somebody
Hmm.
straight from our team to send out the welcome email to kickstart the process of onboarding. I can do that from my phone, etc. So
Yeah.
that's how we've integrated PreciseFP inside a Wealthbox, leveraging a task template, creating an email template so that we can succinctly grab this information, pull it in, and then we can export it right into Wealthbox.
Yep.
Any
And that's a big best practice is just think of your end goal. Like your end goal you mentioned was to have that area of the CRM filled out. So now that you know that, you can kind of work backwards.
Yeah, and then this is kind of once somebody fills out a profile, this is what I was sharing. Once somebody fills out a profile, right, and it gets completed, well, here's Eric's intake form, right, that were completed because I did that form. It comes in here under engagements in PreciseFP. I click the button that says generate documents. Now, here is here's our client agreements, completely pre-filled from that information. Here's all the boxes that were checked off.
Or I still see the PreciseFP website.
Okay, how about now?
Yes. Yep. I see the
Okay, so
PDF now.
here's that document pre-filled with the client name, which was Eric. Here's the boxes that I checked off inside of there. I have to come, there's a few boxes that have to be checked off that just aren't on our form yet that we haven't updated. They're engaging investment services, these additional services. Okay, so that it basically pre-fills our client agreement. It checks all the boxes that need to get checked. Okay, and then we can send this out for DocuSign. Then it
Right.
then it pre-fills our other forms that were in the packet, right, for the client. This is what we refer to as account intake form. There's Eric's information, his date of birth, his driver's license, his social, his net worth is all filled in there. Here's his investment experience, his risk tolerance, his trusted contact information, and here's his name. And now we can type in a few additional pieces of information, and then any additional, like for us, we do some structured products that'll have that information broken out here as well. So you can leverage PreciseFP to pre-fill from your forms right onto your client agreements, which is huge. And then somebody on your team or you, the advisor, can grab this stuff and drop it into DocuSign, or you can leverage natively PreciseFP's e-signature capabilities. There's a lot of things you could do here.
Exactly. And what about asset map? From there, are you pre-filling the financial plan with asset map?
So we're not currently using PreciseFP and Asset Map integration. We feed data in directly from Black Diamond into Asset Map. So we've got everything hubbing in there from Schwab, et cetera, and that's feeding in there. But we look at Asset Map and PreciseFP as we're gathering new information to always make sure our financial suitability is tied together.
Got it. Got it. Perfect.
And
And I know, oh yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
yeah, I'm curious for those of you that are out there, if you want to drop in questions to Nora, like, does your onboarding process look something like that? How are you gathering information efficiently from clients? And how are you making sure that your team members aren't having to keystroke stuff and get carpal tunnel like we talked about?
Yeah. I know, putting a seven instead of 800,000 and messing that up. James is going back. James asked, what zaps are you using?
Oh, it's a good question. So so we have a zap set up. So here's the zaps that are getting used. So the trigger that's happening is when we send let's just start out. I send somebody the welcome email that includes that contact information sheet. Once that contact information sheet gets completed, an email gets sent into our email inbox. We have a zap that knows that when that email hits and that titling, it triggers a task to get sent to the advisor that was assigned inside of that contact form. So whether it's Eric, whether it's
Nice.
Chad, whether it's Amy, it'll grab it, it'll find the contact inside a wealth box, and then it'll send them a task for the advisor to complete another form that we call a new client or existing client onboarding form, which fills in some of the gaps that we would know as the advisor so that our service team can fill in the remaining information for client agreements, et cetera. Okay. And
Yeah.
if there's going to be any, if we're opening up accounts, if we're going to be doing any ACATs or transfers or things like that, the advisor would fill that out or the financial planning analyst would fill that out. So once that task is done by the advisor, once they check it off inside a wealth box, it then triggers another task using Zapier inside a wealth box to send to our service team to basically say, hey, listen, this advisor filled out this onboarding form. Go search PreciseFP for this client for the completed engagement. Fill in the missing information that was given by the advisor and prep the forms to send. And then
Oh,
when they send the forms of that and they check it off as done, it triggers then an email to go out to the client that basically says, "Hey, you should be expecting to receive da 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 da," and it has snapshots of pictures of what they should expect the email to look like that they're going to get. Because we
wow.
think that it's the client experience is about over communicating. So I
Mm.
think that answered a lot of your questions, James, about triggering, but I could go on and tell you some other triggers that we have for how we use Zapier in our process too.
Great. And are you using pipelines in PreciseFP?
Not currently, but I want to. So
Okay.
I will tell you this, and I'm sure some of you that are listening to the call, this is the reason why you're listening to the call. There are capabilities and stuff that are within all the tech tools that we have, and I really want to start using pipelines inside of PreciseFP. When I initially bought PreciseFP for our firm, I was looking to solve two problems, which was have an efficient digital way to get this information we need to set up relationships for our clients, have it seamlessly integrate into our CRM, and to pre-fill paperwork. But there's so much additional things from PreciseFP that we haven't even gotten to yet because we just, I'm sure you guys can appreciate, you get busy and you're like, I got to move on to something else. But the plan is to come back and start leveraging the pipelines. I can tell you that there are advisors in our advisor network who are using the pipelines that are loving it. It helps them kind of manage their stages of how they go through things.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And George says that they love everyone loves the document and really wants it. But it sounds like the form can be auto-filled on custodian docs to open accounts. Is that correct?
It is. So once, so, and Nora, I don't know if you want to talk about this because I know we talked about this offline, but one of the challenging things for those of you that are listening to this that want to make your process more efficient is you may not be technology savvy, okay? And that's okay. One of the powerful things about form mappings is I think that PreciseFP has a service where you can work with their team and pay a fee and they can map. help you create the form to map onto, if you use Schwab paperwork or different custodians, there's custodial paperwork that they can help you pre-fill as well. If you guys have
Yeah.
a PDF, any kind of PDF, it can be mapped based off of data that comes into PreciseFP, which is a game changer. I'm just going to throw this out to you. Laser app, which was the 800-pound gorilla in this space before there was a PreciseFP, cost probably 5 to 10x what you're getting in PreciseFP, and PreciseFP is way more powerful and way less clunky, and you don't have to pay a setup fee.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely, I would say there's like 101 stuff that are just pre-built template stuff, but there's definitely 201, 301, and PreciseFP where you can get really fancy.
You can build forms right onto your website. There's all sorts of stuff you can do with PreciseFP. I'll tell you one of my favorite ones, and you guys will appreciate this. But you can build a document upload link that you can send to your clients. So imagine it's this. You have a new client who wants to work with you, and I'm sure you all have some sort of a checklist of things that they need to give you, a tax return, a statement, a this, that, and the other, so you could build a plan or analysis. In PreciseFP, you could build a digital form like I just showed you, where basically it's a financial document upload, and your clients get this. They're like, hey, here's the client's like, how can I get this to you securely? You could send them a link for this. They could securely upload all their documents. And then PreciseFP already has integrations with a lot of the major file sharing platforms like Google Drive or Box or Dropbox or ShareFile. And you could seamlessly connect this stuff right into those platforms.
Yeah, saves a ton of time and it's kind of like those things that are sitting on your desk or a string around your finger. Like you need to do this. You need to download the file, re-upload it, and it does it for you.
Yep.
John is asking, what Wealthbox subscription do you have? Do you take advantage of the advanced reports and customizable dashboards for Premier subscription?
Uh, so John, I'm a longtime Wealthbox fanboy. We I've been there a long time. We have an enterprise level subscription with those guys, and so uh, dashboards are on my radar. So I will be working with some folks soon to be rolling out dashboards. Yes, we leverage reports. We've built custom reports. They just rolled out an AI report creation tool. So if you don't speak report logic inside of Wealthbox, you can literally use their AI assistant to help you generate a report that you want. So dashboards will be coming for us with those guys across the board. And I would say as a CRM platform, Wealthbox is one of the most open that I know of, where they'll let you do whatever you want with your data since it's yours and you're paying for it.
Love that. That AI reporting is amazing. Do
Hmm.
you have any tips for moving clients along to give us this information? Oftentimes we have clients who take a while to give us the information.
Okay. So for those of you that are in the business of the speed at which you get clients to do stuff is the speed at which you get paid. I live in that world too, and we all want to get paid as quickly as possible. Couple of points of things that I would say. It's super important that you communicate what they should expect. So if you're visiting with a client and you want them to do this form and you're going to be sending it along, you need to set that expectation up front as opposed to them feeling like they're just getting it out of nowhere. Hey, somebody from my team is going to be sending you a digital form for you to fill out. We use this, yada, yada. So that's step one. Then, if you still get a scraggler, if you have the ability, you're at a firm where you can compliantly text message, I would text them like, hey, we just resent you this thing. Can you go ahead and fill out this form? Then if you can't get any progress that way, I would basically say, hey, let's schedule. I'd have either you, or if you have a client service person or a paraplanner on your team, I would have them schedule a 15-minute Zoom meeting with them and let them ask the questions, and they can go ahead and pre-fill out the form for the client. So This is all incumbent
Yeah.
on you on how quickly you want to get this done, what you want your experience to look like. But for me, like those have been the things that I've had that work well. I don't know. I have found that our clients move pretty damn quickly to get stuff done. And I think it really has to do with the fact because we set expectations up front about what they should expect, when they should expect it, and who they should expect to receive it from, and that we make ourselves available if there's any glitches with the technology.
Yep, that's amazing. I know with PreciseFP, there are pipelines built in automatically where
Mhm.
after 3 days, it'll automatically resend
Correct.
it. But I like your, plan B and C. That's kind of just giving them different medium options and, giving them their preferred method.
Yeah, here's the thing, guys. The thing that's happening in our world is that we think that technology and AI it's basically a way for us to not have to interact with human beings. And like the reality of it is that a lot of us lived that life from 2020 to 2021 with COVID. And I can tell you that most people that we encounter deeply want a human to human interaction. So leverage the efficiencies that technology can give you, but don't, especially when you're onboarding somebody new, don't discount the fact of doing something with your clients because that allows you get that FaceTime, that touch point of like, okay, you're somebody I can trust. Okay, you're somebody that's helpful, that's going to make it easy and enjoyable for me to do business with you. And I think that there's this thing of I'm just going to send you this thing, you do it. I mean, yes, that we would like that to be the case, but I think if you can bring in the human element of doing it with people, sometimes it can be extremely invaluable for the deposit in the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. That human element, that's just priceless. Sherry's asking, can PreciseFP integrate with Redtail? Yes, same exact thing. We, move more than 100 fields from Redtail to PreciseFP or PreciseFP back to Redtail. It'll create a record for a prospect or update information for an existing client. And I know our friend here, Dan Garrett, also uses PreciseFP with Redtail and Future Vault. So definitely possible if you're using other options as well. All right, but that is so much information today. Thank you so much for going through everything with us. Do you have any advice for new users, maybe that you want to leave off with?
Uh, my here's my advice. Number one, don't try to eat the elephant in one bite. Really sit down and be methodical and start building out what your like if it were me, I would start with what is my client onboarding experience look like and what does my existing client, account opening or additional service process look like, okay? Take a second, draw this out on a piece of paper or a whiteboard, or if you're a techie like me, make a whiteboard on Zoom. Zoom has whiteboards or Miro, whatever the heck it is that you use, and draw it out and think about what does the journey look like on that process. Then think about what emails and communications can be templatized, right? By whom? Which pieces of technology need to be a part of each step of those process? Who needs to own it on your team and draw it out in that way? And then get with each vendor and figure out exactly how to leverage it and how to create the efficiencies that need to happen with that piece of technology and that process. And then do yourself a favor if you're going to really start to grow and either do these things inside of Zoom where you record yourself or use a tool like Screenomatic and start building your how to library where you document with videos how to do everything within your organization with those two processes so that you can easily train other people as they join your team and as you hire folks. You'll have this library available to execute. You'll have a clean, beautiful visual that you can explain to folks, and you'll have a clear understanding of the systems you have and how to best execute them so that everything in your business can work exactly the way that you want it, and you can orchestrate a client experience and onboarding process that makes you more referable and it makes it more enjoyable to do business with you.
Yeah, that's a great point because you even mentioned, PreciseFP isn't sending information to Asset Map. You were able to, in the front end, figure that out, that Wealthbox to Asset Map was better for your office. So it's
Yep.
just little things like that that just make a big difference.
Yep.
All right. And Mary Ann said, please provide your email address. And thanks, Nora and Eric. This was excellent. So I
If,
did put your email in the chat if you want to let everyone know as well.
yeah, drop me an email. I will also, yeah, Nora dropped it in there. Find me on LinkedIn. Go ahead and connect with me there. Send me a DM on LinkedIn. Um, or I think, let me see if I have this available. I'll give everybody this.
Yeah, I highly suggest it. Eric has such great content on LinkedIn, and he's really the greatest friend. I really value our relationship, so definitely reach out. He's the friendliest guy and is just full of knowledge and resources.
Yeah, and for those of you who want, I'll put this in the chat. You can also leverage. I think this will work. Let's check it. I'll give you my digital card with my contact information if anybody wants to ping me.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll wait for that to drop. And Dan Garrett also said they use Tango to develop interactive documents.
Yep,
And Marianne said thank you.
very familiar with Tango.
Oh
Very,
yeah?
it's a very good process, documenting process. So like if you're using Tango, you are ahead of the game. So fantastic job, Dan. It's a really, really, really good tool. For those of you that don't know what Tango is, Tango will follow you around as you click around on a website and create the step-by-step process for how you do something. So it's a super game changer if you're trying to create SOPs or anything like that. I think I put that there. Nor did it come through?
Yes, I see hi, hello link in there.
Oh, it only went to you. I don't know
Oh,
how to give it to everybody. You can just
yeah,
copy and paste.
I'll do that. We'll send that to, maybe that only went to you too. Let me do it to everyone. All
And then if
right.
everybody is not a part of the Precise FP school, if you drop me a line inside of Precise FP school, we can get a little mastermind, and maybe me and Nora can put together a mastermind to talk about how to build Precise FP within your tech stack and your process. I'm happy to continue the dialogue, brainstorming with everybody.
Yes, please do that. We have a school group, which is basically a forum where we can all talk and discuss best practices. I put that into the chat as well. Add yourself and, throw in any suggestions or questions and we'll collaborate together. I love that.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Eric. All of our wonderful guests, thank you so much for your interaction and your questions. I hope today, was really valuable and kind of did lift up the hood and give you an inside look of everything that's going on in Eric's office and how it's mostly hands-free. So thank you so much, Eric, and thank you so much everyone for joining us and have a great rest of the day.
All right.